Hello everybody, I hope you all are doing well. In this module, we'll look into the dynamic landscape of artificial intelligence. We'll look into the AI tools and models. As AI continues to revolutionize industries worldwide, understanding some of the key underlying tools and the models behind this advancement is critical. AI tools and models, all combined together, or sometimes called the AI application, is trying to replicate human intellect, solve complicated issues, and forecast future using tools and models. So we will get into the AI technologies, their underlying concepts, and their practical applications in real world. So let's talk about some of the AI tools that are involved. So AI tools includes things like the software libraries, the frameworks, and the platform for AI application development and deployment. So these technologies would simplify some of the complex computing procedures so that developers can focus on problem solving rather than the technicalities. It's been used quite a bit in writing, in content creation, sometimes even in coding. In education, there's a huge application where you are using it as a guide, as a tutor, or in a customized way of delivering materials for students formatted in their individualized style. So let's talk about some of the software libraries here. So what are software libraries? They are basically pre-written code for frequently performed tasks such as TensorFlow for deep learning and scikit-learn for machine learning. So these are just some of the two softwares that you might hear which are associated with AI. There are others. When we talk about frameworks, these frameworks actually provide a template or an improved structure and abstraction for AI application development compared to the individualized libraries. So example would be PyTorch. It's very flexible and dynamic, while another one like Keras is much more user-friendly. Both of them are very powerful, and they're open source machine learning instruments or machine learning tools, which offers flexibility and control. When we talk about platforms, we are referring to cloud-based platforms like Google Cloud AI or Microsoft Azure AI. And these platforms would allow developers to integrate AI functionalities into apps without having to setting up any of the infrastructure. So these clouds would provide that infrastructure for you. Let's talk about some of the tools. AI tools and models are algorithms that enables the machines to learn from the data. It can understand and recognize patterns and make decisions. And understanding these models is key to leveraging the full potential of these AI technologies. And they can be categorized in the following ways. So when we talk about using decision trees, so when we will use decision trees to simulate the human decision making by dividing data into branches. When we talk about neural networks, then we are talking about interconnected nodes that can evaluate data and identify complex patterns and relationships. When we talk about reinforcement learning, this is a machine learning method that teaches agents to make decisions through activities that yield some incentives. Now, these are the models that you will be hearing as you choose these individual applications. You might say that this is working on neural networks or this is working on decision trees. And ability to choose them for individual application is important because it is going to be determined by the context where and how you're trying to use it. So we'll start it off with understanding some of the tools and the models that are underlying in our AI applications. So how are we going to select our AI tool or model? So selecting these AI tool and model depends on various factors that are very crucial to the success of the AI-driven solution. And just a little tip here, the design of the PowerPoint that I'm using for this class is powered by Copilot. Initially, I had created some PowerPoint but have taken the design ideas. The reason I mention this is if you look at the design, you will see some kind of icons associated with it, and they are being created by Copilot. So as we talk about how Copilot has evolved, you can start appreciating the fact that it has tried to see the language and try to attach some images with that language given the context. This is very, very important because as we learn about prompting, remember we talked about context, this is extremely important. So as we go through these slides and as you look through the different design, keep in mind and also try to maybe analyze or interpret if some of the designs that you see actually make sense. Now, sometimes you may come back and question the selection of these icons, but in most cases you will see that there are some relevance. For example, for the data availability, it is trying to identify with an icon which shows some data. But in certain cases, you may not find the context completely matching. But the only reason I mention this is as we are learning about this, I'm actually showing a practical application of an AI that I'm using as I'm developing this slide. Now, this is also the use of AI in the education industry, which we'll be talking about more in the later part. So when we are trying to choose the AI models, we have to realize the complexity of the problem that we are dealing with. We also have to look at the availability of the data, the quantity and the quality of data for model training. We also have to look for the performance requirements. How accurate and efficient do you want your output to be? And also the application ease, available resources and knowledge for the application development and maintenance. And if I talk about the complexity and the data in this context, remember, I had provided the content and the Copilot has given me some of the design. And the performance requirement in this case, you can relate to how accurate these individual icons that are associated with the data is. And again, if I have to evaluate every single one, I'm sure I can find some icons that does not completely match with the context. So there lies some limitations about how accurate or what kind of performance I would want from an application like Copilot. Also, the implementation is also very, very important. So anybody who's using this application should know how to use it. So I can tell you for Copilot, it makes it pretty simple. I can go with individualized slide and look for design ideas, or I can ask Copilot to design some kind of a background given some of my data cues through some text, and it will generate the data, or it will generate a picture, which is what we're going to be talking about when we talk about the OpenAIs and ChatGPT. And then you can take that picture and apply it across every single slide deck. So the implementation ease is extremely important, because if you make it too difficult, of course, AI is not going to be adopted or used by most of the people or non-technical people. So the available resource and knowledge for application development and maintenance is extremely useful. With tools like this, developers can design their content. In our case, I designed it for my PowerPoint. But if you're trying to develop an app, a developer might design the app to handle real-world problems swiftly and creatively by choosing the right kind of tools and models, and not have to worry about the underlying code behind every single application. So this way you can really increase the speed of application development and also the efficacy of how developers can use AI for generating apps. We also talked about the importance in various sectors, and this is also very important. The weight of each criteria can vary significantly across the different sectors. If you are talking about applying AI in healthcare, accuracy is extremely important. Whereas, it's very important for patient safety. But when you're trying to apply AI in entertainment, efficiency could be more critical to handle large volume of content generation. When you're applying something in finance, it really needs to be efficient and accurate with real-time decision-making capabilities. Okay? Whereas in my case, in education, it might focus more on the ease of use to accommodate a wide range of users, and also come up with and also efficiency, where I can actually utilize more icons to make it more attractive, more engaging. So I'm using it in education for those reasons. Now, there are also challenges for the selection. And some of these challenges, when you're trying to compare these AI technologies comes from the rapid progress of AI. It's very difficult to do a performance evaluation because the criteria are so complex, because various industry or various sectors of the industry makes this comparison very, very complex and difficult. As we mentioned before, somebody might put a lot of weightage on accuracy versus somebody who wants more efficiency versus somebody who needs real-time decision making. So having an extensive performance evaluation for these kind of tools is difficult. However, with all the evolution, even though the comparative analysis is difficult, but the evolution of these tools is really dynamic and very, very encouraging. Let's now look into ChatGPT. Or in other words, let's take a deep dive into ChatGPT. So when you're talking about ChatGPT, we are talking about artificial intelligence and natural language processing taken to a different level by OpenAI. So AI and NLP, artificial intelligence and natural language processing, had advanced significantly with the introduction of ChatGPT. It really now has become a crucial AI tool, very big in the market. OpenAI is the company who created ChatGPT to advance human digital intelligence. Of course, ChatGPT has also been taken by Microsoft and used and marketed as Copilot. So the underlying engine of Copilot is actually ChatGPT. However, ChatGPT still maintains its own identity as a separate entity.